Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So, settle in. You're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hey everyone, welcome to Sister Sessions. Welcome, Jenny.
Hey, Sister Susie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, just living in the flow.
Living in the flow.
Living in the flow.
Well, I was actually, speaking of flow, I was thinking of today, let's just chat.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had so many subjects lately and so many different things happening and themes. And I'm like, we talked about this in the beginning about how it really came to fruition because of our phone conversations. And we really haven't had a connection in the past couple of days. We've talked, but it's been a little bit, sporadic here and there. So I figured we can just chat.
I would love that. I always love to chat, but not with everybody, just with very few people.
My goodness. Yeah. So what's going on in your world?
Well, first, I want to say how thrilled I am that I was able to have that little session with Duke yesterday.
Oh, yes. Tell everyone.
So, as you know by listening to this podcast, if you don't know us, you do by now, that Susie has three gorgeous, wonderful children. And they are, of course, my niece and nephews. And when Layla, the oldest, was younger, I introduced her to meditation and wanted her to meditate. And she was kind of like, yeah, not really that into it and didn't really care that much, which is totally fine. But I tried. Well, I figured now Duke is 15, almost 16. It's definitely past time for him. And I felt like he would maybe have a little different experience than Layla. And he was so open to it. And we had this awesome conversation. And I asked him, about what he feels about God or spirituality. And that was really cool because he shared with me what he was thinking. And I gave him some of my, little tips and advice, what I feel. And it was really sweet. And then I taught him how to sit right in meditation and just told him, actually really talked about how to breathe correctly, like big, deep diaphragmatic breath. And he was like, wow, that felt so good. And then I guided him just in a short little meditation. And he was like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. He really gravitated right to it.
He had an amazing response afterwards when he shared it with us at dinner. He really did. But it was really funny because after you guys, the day before, you planned this 4:00 phone call together about meditation. And he was so funny because he said to Reed and I, goes, did I do something wrong? What are we talking about? Sorry, Duke, but this is just a cute story. He's like, did I do something wrong? And we're like, what? And he's like, well, why does Aunt Jenny think I need meditation? What did I do something? And I'm like, and Reed was like, no, she tried this with your sister. It didn't work. She gave her meditation tape. She even bought her a pillow. She gave her a Buddha. She was like, you're just the next one in line. And he was like, oh, okay.
He's just the next one in line.
Yeah. I would not be surprised, though. I cannot answer for her, but I would not be surprised if Layla does not meditate at moments. I would not be surprised because she's a very, she's got it together. And she's also not very vocal. She wouldn't be like, I meditate. Never.
I know it, Suze. And I honestly do believe that she does. She just wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine.
That's her personality. She would not be like, I meditate.
No, completely. And I also know over the years, her and I have
lead them to the water.
100%. But over the years, her and I have had many deep talks about things. And when she was young, and she would just look at me in the eyes like she was absorbing it all. And, we know Layla's a very intelligent girl, and she thinks about things and she really contemplates. And so I totally think that she does in her own way that she wouldn't share, which is totally great.
Oh, it's so true. And I do have to share this because it makes sense right now. And yesterday, Zane is my youngest, he's 6. And now we're talking about my youngest at 6 and my oldest it's 19. Zane was in timeout and, was trying to plead his case of why he shouldn't be in timeout. And Reed made a comment and he was like, boy, your sister was the only one good at this. Like, she would have already had a PowerPoint set and made for us and been like, this is why I should be out of timeout. And we'd end up being like, well, shit, you're right. Like, anytime she wanted a weird pet, bearded dragons, lizards, anything, not that they're weird, but, anytime she wanted all those odd end pets, she would make PowerPoints and convince us to get her the pets, and we would.
She'd be a great litigator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, really fun for me on my side of this in this family as being the auntie and sharing these teachings and in meditation with them. It just brings me so much joy. And I shared, of course, with Dave, and he was like, yes. He was so excited that Duke was excited about it. It's everything, because we know how much it changes your life.
Yeah.
And it brings you more joy and fills you up, and you have this inner portable paradise
Mm-hmm.
that we all have, that we can tap into, and that can help us navigate this life.
Yeah. Joy. That's what we were talking about earlier. Joy. Having
Mm.
fun. Do you think
Mm.
your life is fun?
Well, that's relative to the person, right? I mean, it's all in perspective of what everybody feels fun is. Our definition of fun is different, I think, for
Yeah. And I was thinking about this the other day because I feel like fun gets like a bad rep. Like, it's almost like now you're supposed to be doing this, fun is for later. I feel like that's it's brought into to you from your childhood. No, now's not the time for fun. You can have fun later. Play now, work now, play later, all that kind of a thing. And I don't like that. Like, I don't like that and mentality. And it brings me back to the movie Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. Remember that movie? It's amazing. And he teaches Natalie Portman plays the lead role in that, and she's like in her 20s, and she's very rigid, and she wants everything to be structured, and he brings life into her as an adult because she's like, no, I can't do that. I'm an adult, and everything has to be. We're not talking about like party on, goof off, and that kind of fun. I'm just talking about in everything you do, gardening, anything that you do, bringing joy. Joy is fun, right? If you're in joy, then you're having fun. So fun in that sense of bringing the joy to everything that you do and teaching your kids that it's kind of like the road trip is just as fun as the vacation you're about to take. It can be, the airport delay. Enjoy yourself. Go have a meal now. Listen to a podcast, read a book, take a nap. Like, meet the person next to you instead of complaining. Like, find the fun, more fun as adults.
absolutely. And I would definitely use the word joy versus fun,
Mm-hmm.
just because it does equals kind of
Gives a bad rep, right? Yeah.
it can. As adults, fun in our culture specifically has been like, let's go party. And that is not
Right.
fun, actually, at all. When I was in my 20s, that was my fun. But in my, late 40s, almost 50s, no, that is not fun. Fun is being honestly in that inner state of joy and seeing all of life as an opportunity to expand the awareness. That's the point. And that to me is fun.
And
What's
I
fun
think
to me
that,
is talking about this stuff.
yeah, no, for sure. But I also think that because I've obviously traveled with you and all that kind of stuff. And I think that you are in an inner state of joy. So you find the fun everywhere you go, and in whatever tasks that you're taking on, you do find the fun. And I want more people to do that. I want more people to lighten up in that sense inside and not feel like, well, I can't be enjoyed now because this is work or this is serious, or find find the joy in everyday moments.
Yeah.
In every
It's
day.
every moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is really, it's not some Pollyanna pie in the sky. Oh, that's so ridiculous. And I have a very serious job. And, you know, you can have a serious job and it can
Yeah.
be really intense, right? And you can still internally have a sense of joy and peace and this idea of really being of service to others from coming from a place of joy and love. You
Mhm.
know, even if you have the most serious job, you want to say that what are you doing in that job? How are you serving the people?
Mhm.
Or whatever it is you're doing, there's a reason for it that's helping someone or something. And
Mhm.
so look for how you're being of service, which automatically brings up joy because you know, okay, I'm helping somebody. I'm making a difference, even if even the smallest thing is important. It doesn't have to be some huge thing. So when I also feel like when we're in a state of presence, like really being present,
Mhm.
that helps us to remember our divinity naturally. And our divine self is joy,
Yeah.
is actually bliss, the highest state
Mhm.
of aware of.
Well, I think that there's a stigma of guilt behind that. Like, you shouldn't be like, again, going back to this, you shouldn't be having fun right now.
Yeah, that
Why
statement's
are
fun.
you having fun? Why are you laughing? You know, and not, and again, not in disrespectful, not, I'm not talking about woo woo party and not laughing because when, and to be rude, or, but just feeling joyful and finding more of it. What do you think? What is your most fun thing to do?
My most fun thing to do right now. Oh, that's a hard question because I find all of my life, if you would look at it really, I think a lot of people, if they would look at my life and the daily, you know, situation, people might think it looks boring. You know, I guess it depends on, I wake up and I meditate, have some coffee, and I get ready and I'm listening to podcasts, and then I am work with clients all day on and off. I'm doing emails, I'm doing podcasts, and then I I'm with my dog as much as possible, honestly. Like I'm obsessed with my dog. I am. We go for walks every day. What that is one of my most fun things of the
Yeah.
day is my walk with my dog. Love, love, love it. Outside in nature. I also love the weekends where Dave and I are just out in our land and we're building and creating and we're imagining what we want to create for this healing sanctuary. And so we're really we're cleaning up the land and burning things and planning. That is so fun to me. So I really, long story of all that, I think the funnest part right now of my life is creating this healing sanctuary.
Well, I think that you're very unique in the sense that it's almost like your chosen career is an everyday lifestyle. Like, it's in everything you do. Not many people can say that. If you're an artist, you're not walking around painting the walls and the sidewalks outside, but I feel like what you do is is who you are. And it's amazing. It's really cool. Does it make sense? Like, you're always what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I just am I am who I am, whatever that is.
Right,
And
right.
I live it and I teach it and I'm just, yes, I am 100% immersed in it.
Right. And I think that, well, I know that people that know you utilize that when they're around you. I feel like when you're around, conversation goes around spirituality and all of that, and the conversation tends to be in that motion. And then whenever people meet you for the first time, I mean, I've witnessed it a million times. I've witnessed it a million times where you think people are drawn to you. And I'm laughing because, oh my goodness, you guys, one time, this was, gosh, years ago, before you got into this work, and you always have had this light about you where people are attracted to you and you light up it's just, you were meant to do this and it was always in you. And this one time, Jenny and I were traveling and meeting at an airport, and I am the person on the airplane that is I'm pretending to read and I'm not reading, or I'm like listening to someone, or I'm like sleeping, and just because I don't want to talk to you, the people behind me that I don't know. And so anyway, we were meeting in an airport, and I got there first, so I walked to the terminal where Jenny was going to come off the plane, and her plane let out. As people are leaving, I hear them. I mean, you guys, multiple people. They're going, bye, Jenny. Jenny, we'll get in contact with you. See you, Jenny. Nice. Jenny, it was so great to meet you. Oh my God, Jenny, I love you. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? Like, this is so Jenny right now. Like, the whole plane, I'm waiting for the pilot to come out and be like, Jen, do you want another ride? I can get back on. Like, it was so classic Jenny.
I don't remember that, but that's funny.
And anyone who has not met her yet, I promise you, if you ever have the pleasure, you will understand immediately.
You are sweet.
That's funny though. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh God, yes. It's one of my favorite memories.
Aww.
Classic Jenny moment. Meanwhile, there I was on the plane, just like putting up fake walls. I've gotten better at that. I don't do that anymore. I used to be really strangely quiet around in certain situations. Like, I have had jobs where I've worked with people for a couple of months and they didn't even know I was a talkative person.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was much younger. Yeah, I've learned to relax.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes.
That's so funny.
You know, that's interesting because you have come out of your shell that way a lot, I've noticed. And I'm actually different than that person all those years ago coming out of the plane and saying bye to everybody and all that, because I'm actually much more inwardly focused. Back then, you know, that had to be well over 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I was more outwardly focused, you know, and I wanted to connect with everybody and, you know, check out everybody, see what's going on. And now I do that in a much different way. You know, I go deep with people all day long in calls and my sessions, and I am very quiet most of the time outside of that. Like, it's silent in this house all day, unless if I'm on a call or I'm listening to a talk online. But it's always spiritually based. And when I'm out, like when I'm flying now, I am reading or listening to something. Like, I want to be engaged, and I don't necessarily strike up conversations with people like I used to. So I'm a little different in that regard.
Amazing.
Oh, but joy is such a state to live in. And I think it is part of our natural state. And this doesn't have to be contingent on what's happening externally. And this is really a vital point to this, because it's not like, well, my life, you know, we can always make an excuse. My life is so hard and there's so much going on. And how can you be in a place of fun or joy when there's serious stuff happening?
Mm-hmm.
You know, my child is sick, or I lost my job, or, you know, yes, those things are no joke in that regard. However, it's how we choose to deal with those things,
Mm-hmm.
and those challenges that we face, because we always have the choice. Are we going to be in a state of worry and fear,
Mm-hmm.
or are we going to choose love? Because
Mm-hmm.
those are the spectrum, the whole spectrum. Love and fear are on the opposite ends.
Mm-hmm.
And we can be somewhere in the middle of that, but let's not be in the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a hard concept if you are so used to that being in that patterning. It's very common. And the longer and deeper we stay in fear, what happens is our world starts to shrink around us. Because wherever our attention goes, the energy flows. And where it flows, it grows.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're afraid of something or you're worried, then you're breeding that energy and you're building it. You're experiencing more and more of it. And then more and more things will look fearful to you because your consciousness is filtering fear. It's projecting fear because that's what's going on inside of you. Whatever's going on inside of you is what you are going to see externally.
Yeah.
We are co-creators with this universe. Our energy is so powerful and our thoughts are so powerful. So we have to really get a hold of our thinking and pay attention. Like, what am I saying to myself every day?
Yes.
What is my self-talk towards myself and towards other people, right?
Yep.
So if you're negative and you're judgy and you're criticizing others in your mind or critical of yourself in your mind, the downward pulling is really intense.
It's so true. I actually had I would say, I don't know, on and off for the past couple of weeks, like very rare for me, like doubt talks in my own head that I usually don't ever do. And I finally stood up to my own self and I even said to Reed, I said, I will not be defeated. I'm done. That is done. As of this morning, I am so done. That's not like me. It doesn't serve me. It does nothing. And if there's something you don't like, fix it. Stop complaining about it. Stop sulking about it. Stop thinking about it. I don't cry really. I mean, everyone cries, but I'm not a crier. You know? Like, no, I will not be defeated.
That's right. That's what you have. That's perfect, Suze. That's exactly right. Standing up to yourself, standing
Yeah.
up to your ego self, because it's what it is, the
Yeah.
small s, and saying no and using a lot of willpower like that
Oh,
to
yeah.
say no and shift your attention.
Yeah.
Good.
Will not be defeated. None of us. Life is too short. You know, that's where I think all I thought about fun and the joy. Life is too short for negative talk, you know, and you listen, you're the person, we talked about this. You're the person listening to those thoughts. You're not those thoughts. Get those thoughts, tell them out of your head. No. If it doesn't serve me well, bye-bye.
Yeah. You know, speaking of like life being too short,
Reed always says, every time I say life is short, da, 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 he always says, Susie, life is long. We have a long life. Every time.
it's funny because Dave used to say that same thing. He used to tell me, he used to say, actually, it's really long, not compared to eternity.
I mean, I can't believe that February is over in 3 days. Like that, I know a lot of people talk about the beginning of the year crawling by and oh my God, January is like 14 years long. I didn't see it. I didn't even see those months go by. I cannot believe how quickly they went. Life goes fast.
I agree. I think it's fast and and there's not I wanted to say there's not enough time, but that's not true. There really is plenty of time. It's just how we utilize it.
Yep. Just like there's 24 hours in a day. How are you using those 24 hours? Though I'm not saying, you know, mass pile them, you know, every hour you're doing. No, I'm just saying there are 24 hours in a day. And like you told me, and I stopped saying this a long time ago, you know, if someone says, "Oh, do you read books?" and you say, "I don't read because I don't have time." No, you don't read because you don't make time. There's time. It's just not, and that's fine. Nobody's saying you need to read or whatever hobby I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. It's just not, you're not prioritizing it, which is again fine. I don't paint during the day because that's not my priority, but I would have time if I really wanted to. So it's about prioritizing what is important to you. And I hope that this is resonating with at least one person that will be like, oh my gosh. And they get that click that I got years ago. And they're like, I'm going to look at my day differently. And again, there's no need to pile up your day and hour out what you're doing. But if you really want to do something, you'll make the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just tell you that I just decided I'm going to start something new, and
Ooh.
I know.
You're hearing it first, Sister Sessions.
You're hearing it first on here.
And I'm hearing it first.
You're hearing it
But
first.
you guys are really special. What the hell's going to happen
I mean,
to us?
it's nothing exciting for anybody but me.
Oh, we all don't get $1 million or a car.
And you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Maybe someday. But I am going to start knitting. I ordered my first kit online because I just want a new hobby. I want something to do in the evenings when we like to create puzzles or whatever, you build
Yeah.
puzzles. But that, it's fun. And it's like you create, you finish it and it looks beautiful. And then you just tear it all apart, which is great. And it's like, okay, no attachment. I did it and I'm done. And now move on, put it away. But I actually was thinking, well, I'd like to have something that I can give away or keep or use, where it's productive. So I'm going to learn how to knit.
I love it. I tried that when I was in my early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and I took a sewing class. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember
I was
sewing.
in Arizona for a short period, and I took a
Mm-hmm.
sewing class because I had nothing else to do in the desert. So I wanted to take up a hobby, and I thought if I could make my own clothes, wouldn't that be so cool? This would be so cool. Shout out to Suze Pisano, who makes amazing clothes. But anyway, um, it was so much more difficult than I had imagined, and I put it to the wayside quickly. One of the things I remember with the sewing machine itself was you have to get the perfect speed and the perfect push on the pedal, or you're like, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure you can, if I remember correctly, I think you could break a needle too if you aren't careful. So that was scary to me. I did make a dress. It didn't get finished because unfortunately the lady who was teaching the class went on vacation and she never finished it. But then knitting was part of it. And I tried to knit a scarf and it turned into a triangle and I was like, ugh. I got so frustrated. So I can't wait to see. Oh, maybe you get a scarf and you get a scarf and you get a scarf.
Well, that was actually the whole, I thought, that's exactly what I thought, Suze. And now everybody's going to know. And I can't say that I'm going to do it for sure, but I'm going to try. I thought, I'll give everybody, I already thought about it. I was like, I have to make 10 scarves for Christmas, before Christmas.
Wow. Well, I mean, you do have time.
I do. So we'll see
That's
how
cool.
it goes. Yeah.
It's really cool. I know
Yeah.
you'll do it. You'll do
Yeah.
it. It'll be so cool. And you'll be on here showing us these scarves.
Yeah. So here we go. And I love when I say it out loud to somebody else because
Yeah.
it helps me even more.
Accountability too. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And I am really, having integrity is very important. Doing what you say you're going to do. And it's a very powerful, actual spiritual practice of having integrity, truthfulness. It's one of the yamas and niyamas of the spiritual path of the yoga philosophy. Truthfulness, speaking your truth, and then actually following through
Yeah.
is powerful. It's
It's very disappointing when you find out that someone doesn't do that. I think the most difficult part of it is not taking it personally.
Hmm.
It's not just you that they didn't follow through with. If they didn't follow through with you, most likely that's their practice. If they were late to meet you, most likely they're always late.
Oh, yes. So yeah, we know not taking things personal is crucial to our overall well-being and honestly the truth of things, because it isn't ever about you. And that's very difficult, especially when it seems and it is directed towards you. It's only because you're in line of their energy patterning. That's it. You're the one energy they can project it out towards.
Yeah.
But it isn't you personally.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I said, that's just one of those things you have to swallow and say, okay, this is not me. This is their practice.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. So really, and when I think about knitting and being in that energy of doing this for someone else, creating something for someone else,
Also changes it.
and brings so much more joy. Like, oh, I'm gonna make this for Layla, or what, how about that? It wouldn't be nearly as fun if it was just for me. Like, I don't need another scarf. And maybe many people don't need another scarf, but many people do. And
Yeah.
but it's coming from my heart. You remember, oh my gosh, this is when I was a flight attendant. I was a flight attendant for 4 years after college. So when I was 21 to 24, 21, 22, 32, yeah, around that. And I wanted to do something creative because, quite frankly, being a flight attendant for me was boring. It was fun when you get to the city, but actually working was very boring. So I read a ton of books, and all I was doing was reading and reading and reading. And I was like, "There's gonna be something else I can do besides just read all the time. Like, I can do something with my hands." So I learned how to make
Oh, I
these.
know what you're going to say now. It took me a while.
Say it.
The Christmas wreaths. Jenny had everyone Christmas wreaths. And what did you make it out of?
This fabric. It was like fabric, and you cut them in little squares, and then you have this little thing, and you poke a hole in
Why
this.
do penguins come into my head? Did you put little penguins on any of them? Maybe little
Probably.
with little black
No.
hats. Maybe that's
Yes.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I decorated them, and I gave everyone for Christmas.
They were magnificent.
They were so cheesy, but I needed to do something with my hands. Like, I just can't. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. Kind of on another kick like that, because in the evening I like to do something, and we're, it's dark, and what else you gonna do besides meditation is great, but I'm not gonna meditate all night. It's gonna be, there's downtime. So I thought that was nice to, like, kind of chill and be creative.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Joy. It's joy,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel like that Reed would be my husband Reed, for those who don't know, but he has become a major gardener. And we have a full indoor garden in our basement with hanging lights, and they're his babies. And I mean, it's intense, but the joy that it brings him. And he, like, I'm just going to say, like, my husband doesn't have a very good, I talk a lot, so he only catches a few things. But the other day I was doing blah, da, 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 and I said garden, and his head went like that. And I was like, oh, that's all I have to do. I could just, if I just said garden, you'll turn your head and I can get your attention for anything. And he started laughing. He's like, well, what were you saying? And I was like, it wasn't about the garden at first. It turned into that. But you didn't turn your head until I said garden.
Wow.
So the joy that it brings him, and he's so excited about giving food. He cannot wait to give food and make sauces for people and salsas and every, meals itself with all of his garden. So, yeah, he's definitely in that.
Serving others with love.
Mm-hmm.
That brings so much joy.
Yeah.
Where you're out, you're thinking about others, you're serving others. That fills us up in such a way. That's why people love to volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
When you go to a soup kitchen, or you go somewhere, anything, any way that you serve without any expectation of anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key to it, right? It's selfless service.
Yeah.
You're not receiving anything back, although you're receiving a ton of joy,
Right.
which is
Yeah, I did that.
fantastic.
The only time that I did like a community service, I did it in Los Angeles at the World Harvest Center a couple of years in a row. It was amazing how much people got out of it that I didn't even realize. And I'm thinking, man, the time that I'm giving is nothing. Like, I'm not taking away that I was doing something, but the reward for the people was so much greater than my time loss or the energy that I was putting in. I'm not saying I was half-assing what I was doing, but it didn't compare to what they were gaining, you know? And it was interesting to I didn't realize the impact that it made. They gave me a plaque. Daddy was visiting, and out of nowhere they asked me to come in, and they had people that frequent the place. They gathered, and they like gave me this plaque and thanked me, and I was just like, never saw that coming, or anything. Like what I did to me was nothing, you know? Yeah.
That's why it's so powerful. We
Yeah.
don't even realize the effect we have on others when we volunteer and do something with a selfless service.
Yeah. Well, we did candy striping when we were in,
Oh, yeah.
but that was not, I didn't feel of service doing that. They
Me neither.
didn't allow you, there was too many rules. You know, they don't talk to the patients too long. All the things I wanted to do, they didn't want us to do. It was
Oh,
more like, can you take this paper to floor 2? Can you just go fill up the waters and be right back? And you would just sit at the station and wait to just be like an errand person, which I mean was helpful to them, but that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to talk to the people.
absolutely
To
very.
be like a young Mother Teresa
Oh, yeah, that would have been perfect.
in stripes. I was trying my best. That was the epic fail. But the World Harvest Center was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. And now I'm just serving my children at the moment for now.
Yeah, for now. Things always shift and change. Yeah, I served a lot on at the meditation center in Austin, and then
Oh, I'm sure.
I did the hospice volunteering before I left Texas, which was one of my
Oh, that wonderful woman. Tell everybody what you did about her. She sounded so sweet.
well, I mean, I just was a volunteer for the hospice. It was a beautiful organization. I loved it. And I just had one patient that I'd go visit whenever I could, and I tried to do it once a week, and she was just so lovely. She had dementia, but it wasn't too intense. She always remembered me. She just, would forget little things. She didn't have it very severely at that point. And she did go into, she was staying with her daughter and I visited her there. And then she did go into a facility for a while and I would visit her there. But she was always so happy and so much
See?
love.
Fun, joy. Let's go.
So much joy, so grateful to see me. And like we had this wonderful connection and we would just laugh. And she would say, she had this saying, what was the saying she had? She wanted to make t-shirts about a joke about her memory. Like, I can't recall what it was. It was so cute. She was like, I think it was like, she used the word shit all the time. I don't remember shit, and she'd like, and she was a smoker and she was just this little cute button, but she loved God. And her and I would always talk about God. She would bring it up and she would just say, I just love God so much. And I can't, and wanted to go to God. And we would sing Alleluia. And, I'm not a good singer, but I would find it on YouTube, like, let's listen to this version. And she would just be like, we would just be in this place, would be
Oh my God, that's
vibing
so cute.
together. It was amazing. And I was really sad that, I couldn't see her anymore because I was moving. And even like I had to kind of stop right before because she was in transition and going back to her daughters, all kinds of stuff was going on. And she actually went to the hospital for a while and the lady kept me up to date with like what was going on with her because she fell. But I'll tell you that I think that
Now, that specific volunteer work, was that something that was required of like your specific credentials?
no, anybody could do it. In fact, most of the volunteers for that were in college. The lady that I met with from the organization who actually used to come to my yoga studio in Austin when I had it. She's like, "I know you." I didn't even know her. It was so funny. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I used to come to your yoga studio." It was so funny, this whole thing. But she said most of the volunteers were college students who needed credits and, volunteer credits. So I think I was an anomaly for some reason, which was kind of sad to me. But no, you don't need any. I mean, they do a background check and
Sure. Yeah, yeah. And that's not what I was talking about.
you don't have to have any kind of certain degree or
Mhm.
anything. And I'll tell you, I loved it so much. And I definitely feel this call at some point in my life, which I've shared with you, to work with people who are at their end of life and, transitioning, because it is such a powerful time. And we're coming,
In
when we come,
transition with love and not fear.
yes, 100% to transition in a place of love and acceptance and willingness to let go, which I know is not easy. I mean, the ego and our personality is so attached to this world and our life and our family and our loved ones that we really become fearful so easily. And we don't need to do that. And I find it so powerful and necessary to change the idea we have about death, and even changing that term, because we don't die. We just transition. We transform into another state. We just leave this physical form. As Swami Kriyananda, a great saint, said, nothing happens when you die. You just step into into your astral body. You're already in your astral body, but you actually just step out of your physical body. That's all you do. And then you get to see more clearly what is underlying what we can't see through these two physical eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't all of a sudden change. Our consciousness is still us. We're still us.
Yeah.
Powerful. So that transition to leave the body, when we can do that more consciously and with acceptance and love, we're going to have a much easier experience. Every experience is different, and how this is for people who are, actively dying, not just, obviously there's other ways we can leave.
Right.
Powerful.
It is powerful.
And we don't have to be afraid of it. We need to talk about it. And if you are afraid of it, that's okay. Let's talk about it. And why,
Mm-hmm.
And I understand not everybody believes in a greater reality. Not everybody feels that that's real. And that's okay. That's hard though. I mean, that I can see, like, I can imagine if you didn't believe in anything and it was just some black void or something. I don't even know. I can't even imagine. I guess fear would make sense.
I mean, I think there's more people that think that when you die, it's done than you would probably, because you are surrounded by people that don't believe that. I think there's more people that just believe when you're dead, you're dead.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I hear that often.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Then how do you live?
You hear more of that and fear than you hear anything else.
I'm very curious about that. Like, I'd love, then how do you look at life? How do you see life? What's the point?
I would say I don't believe this, but I put myself in that mind frame, and I would say that it would be like sort of kind of the same. Seize the day, life is short, go after it, get it, because when it's done, it's done. That's just the difference. It's when it's done, it's done. And I'm not here to, like, how you believe that we're growing spiritually and we're taking ourselves to the next level when we get to the other side. I don't think people they don't worry about that. That's just something that's like nor here nor there. It's just like, I'm going to ride this train till it wrecks and then I'm out.
But isn't that a very selfish life?
Well, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. It doesn't give you, and I also wonder if in the face of tragedy, I've often seen
Mm-hmm.
in the face of tragedy, people like that turn to God. So do they really believe that it's all done when you're done? I don't know. Because it's, when people get this desperation, whether their family member is struggling for their life and they're in the hospital dying, and they just go to the chapel at church and they don't know what else to do, and they get on their knees and pray. People go there when they're so desperate.
Oh, Suze, I can just go down a whole rabbit hole here, because that goes deep, man. Yes, I know it happens because we are called to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And because deep in our soul, I don't care what you believe or don't believe, deep in your essence of who you are, truth lies. And your soul knows you are an infinite being.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because that's truly what people do.
Well, it's either, we learn in two different ways. We learn either through suffering or we learn through intuition. And most people aren't meditating to expand their intuition to grow in that way. Some are more now than ever, but not enough. And those who learn through suffering, we have a terrible experience that, all experiences are neutral. We put that label on it. And that is very difficult for the ego mind to understand.
Well, we'll just say something traumatic or dramatic, something significant, something like that that happens.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Then we don't know where else to turn, although our soul does. And so we automatically turn inward and
Hmm.
we start to pray or seek some kind of comfort because that is what we already inherently know to be true.
Yeah.
And so it's an awakening of sorts. Like, I don't believe in this, but I am going to do it anyway. And then it can turn to belief because honestly, miracles are happening every moment, all the time. This whole universe is a miracle. I mean, look at it. How everything, even just this planet itself, is how it sustains itself and how perfectly it's orchestrated, where all the birds and bees and everything is just moving in such a way where everything is supported and connected and beautiful. It's magic just to be out in nature. And it blows my mind that someone can look at this world and believe that it's haphazard and it's just an accident. What? I don't get that kind of understanding.
Yeah.
But okay, sure. If that's where you want to be, we all get to choose. That's the greatest thing. There's no right or wrong. If you don't believe in God or you don't believe in God is a I don't even like that term to use on a regular basis. I mean, I like that term, but the thing about that word,
Well, yeah, because religion has made all these different gods, and it's a separation almost of beliefs and religion. Where if you say the divine, there's no separation. The divine spirit covers everyone, it covers the whole globe, it covers the whole universe. Where if you say God, all the religions separate, and then now you're separating people and the beliefs. And, I don't,
yeah, it's
being raised Catholic, which we're not anymore, but being raised Catholic, you see how that is. Like, it's like, oh my God, they're Presbyterian over there. Like the separation of like, they don't believe what we believe, you know?
100%. I agree with you. But what I was gonna say about that word though is yes, there's that side of it that you said. And then what I also feel recently sensing about just that word, those three letters are so energetically charged in a positive sense
Hmm.
because of when people who have faith say that word, it's at a high frequency.
Hmm. Hmm.
So and also people can say that word and be in a low frequency depending on where you are in your consciousness.
Hmm.
And I just been contemplating that word a little bit because I do love and use almost exclusively to some degree, to a large degree, divine spirit. It's my favorite
Right.
term. And I see how that other term, that the word God is so strong and powerful in of itself from the deepest sense and meaning. And God, if one doesn't believe in a greater reality and that there is a divine energy at play here, manifesting and creating this universe, that's okay.
Well, I think too, with if I could just say really quickly, with the word God, it's like, it's saying, I don't believe in God, the God that I was taught, because everyone's taught from birth a different who God is, what God's about. So I think their statement is, I don't believe in the God that I was taught. And that's a separation too. So when you
Right.
say you don't believe in God and someone else does, you could be talking about two different gods, two types of gods, where the divine spirit, like I said, it's like a blanket.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. And so that's why changing that, if it doesn't work for you and if you're still caught in the old paradigm of how you grew up or some trauma you had around religion, I get it. Percent. Don't use it. But the best part about all of this is that no matter where you are on your journey, you're exactly where you need to be in this moment, and it's okay. Acceptance of where you are in your journey, whether you're saying, I think you're all bogus. I don't believe a word you're saying. Good for you. Like, that's okay. Accept that that's where you are and keep moving forward in the most positive way you can in life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Doing the best you can in being in a place of joy by serving other people
I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. If you are you kind? Are you loving? Are you helpful? And you tell me you don't believe in God, I'm totally down with that. Like, I'm not judging you at all, but it's the person that walks out of church and, talks about the family next to you for 20 minutes and gossips in the parking lot. What are you doing?
They're struggling too, though.
Right.
It is still not judging them.
No. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I'm all about the person who doesn't believe in God, who's kind and loving and helpful to others and themselves.
Sure, you would much rather be around their energies, what you're saying, than those who gossip and judge. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Like, I don't want to be around people that just because they believe in the same thing I believe in.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. That's not important. I mean, it is important to be around good vibrations because who you mix with
joy.
matters. Yeah. But because we're all affected by each other. Whether we realize it or not, our energies are intertwined as we're together in, communion with each other and hanging out with each other. Like, our environment is often, and this is also something that Yogananda has said, environment is stronger than willpower. So it's very difficult let's give an example of saying, someone who doesn't want to drink alcohol and they have all these friends who drink alcohol, but they really don't want to, but they don't want to not be with their friends, but they're kind of confused. Like, I don't know what to do. And I don't know if I'm strong enough, maybe not yet. Are you strong enough to go out to a bar with your friends and not drink? Because all that energy is going to be stronger than your willpower is to say no.
Right.
So maybe for a time you don't go to the bar. Maybe you can hang out somewhere else and they can have drinks, but maybe you cannot. You have to see where you are and where your growth lies and what is going to work for you or not. But our energy we are very, very powerful. However, we can easily get sucked into someone else's energy and go down a place we don't want to. So we do have to be very conscious of who we're keeping company with.
Absolutely. Tighten up that circle, people. It's true.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
It's very important.
All right. Well, this was fun.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to chat and, be in joy and lightness. It's all about being light.
Yes. And we want to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Sister Sessions Podcast. We are on YouTube now.
Woo! We're fans.
You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're on Spotify still. So follow us there. And, give us a little message. Let us hear from you. Ask a question.
That would be great.
On our Instagram, you can even say something you want to hear us talk about. We would love it.
Please. Yes, that would be fantastic.
All right. Well, that is all for now. Go ahead, Jenny.
All is well.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next week with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.